Hello, third graders, and welcome back to our reading of The One and Only Ivan. Today, we are focusing on chapters 42 through 48, pages 90 through 113. So we have kind of a lot to read today and definitely a lot to do in our packet. But first, let's start with our quick write. So turn to the page in your packet that says chapters 42 through 48 on the top. And we'll start our quick write, which is also up on the screen. It says, in your opinion, what makes a good parent? What is a parent supposed to do for his or her child? Explain. Okay. I'm going to take a minute to think about this because I am a parent. So I need to think about what do I do to make sure that I'm a good parent? What do I do for my daughter that makes me a good parent? Okay, I got it. Okay, let's set our timer for 2 or 3 minutes, and then we'll come back together. In my opinion, just make sure that you have part of the question, the answer. Okay. So if you need more time for your quick write, go ahead and pause your device, but we're going to go over mine really quick. So I wrote, in my opinion, a good parent is patient, fair, and loving. A good parent feeds and takes care of their child. A good parent makes sure that their child is happy and healthy. So some examples would be a good parent brings their child to the doctor when they're sick. They make sure that they go up to all of their checkups. They make sure that they have healthy food to eat and that it tastes good. So there's a lot of things that people can do to be good parents. Okay. I'm sure that you have your very own answer. I can't wait to read them when I'm grading. So let's go on to our vocabulary words. Today we have 4 vocabulary words as usual. Our first word is intently. What's the word? Intently. Intently means attentively. So it means that you're really thinking and you're really paying attention. I'm sure you're all attentively watching this video. The second word is contemplating. What word? Contemplating. Contemplating means thinking. So if you're contemplating something, you're thinking about something. What's the word? Contemplating. Very good. Our next word is mesmerized. What word? Mesmerized means enthralled. So if you're mesmerized by something, you just can't stop staring at it. Some people get mesmerized by a TV or mesmerized by a beautiful work of art or mesmerized by the changing leaves in the fall. I feel like I'm finding myself being mesmerized lately by those. What's the word? Mesmerized. The last word is addled. What word? Addled is an adjective. It means muddled and confused. What's the word? Addled, muddled and confused. So if I'm super confused, I'm muddled. My brain is muddled. Okay, so let's start our reading. Today I'm going to be reading pages 90 through 107. You at home are going to be reading pages 108 through 113. All right. Find page 90, Mrs. Halverson. All right. Find yourself reading along with me, please. Page 90. Elephant jokes. Ivan? Bob? I blinked. The dawn sky is a smudge of gray flecked with pink, like a picture drawn with 2 crayons. I can just make out Ruby in the shadows waving hello with her trunk. Are you awake? Ruby asks. We are now, says Bob. I'm still asleep and I don't want to wake her because she said her foot was hurting, but I'm really, Ruby pauses for breath, really bored. Bob opens one eye. You know what I do when I'm bored? What? Ruby asks eagerly. Bob closes his eyes. I sleep. It's a little early, Ruby, I say. I'm used to getting up early. Ruby wraps her trunk around one of the bars in the door. At my old circus, we always got up when it was still dark, and then we had breakfast, and we walked in a circle. And then they chained my feet up, and that really hurt. Ruby falls silent. Instantly, Bob is snoring. Ivan, Ruby asks, do you know any jokes? I especially like jokes about elephants. Well, let me see. I heard Mac tell one once. How can you tell that an elephant has been in the refrigerator? How? By the footprints in the butter. Ruby doesn't react. I sit up on my elbows, trying not to disturb Bob. Get it? What's a refrigerator? Ruby asks. It's a human thing, a cold box with a door. They put food inside. They put food in the door? Or food in the box? And is it a big box, Ruby asks, or a little box? I can see this is going to take a while, so I sit up all the way. Bob slides off, grumbling. I reach for my pencil, the one I snapped in half with my teeth. Here, I say, I'll draw you a picture of one. In the dim light, it takes me a minute to find a piece of the paper Julia gave me. The piece is a little damp and has a smear of something orange on it. I think it's from a tangerine. I try my best to make a refrigerator. The broken pencil is not cooperating, but I do what I can. By the time I'm done, the first streaks of morning sun have appeared in flashy cartoon colors. I hold up my picture for Ruby to see. She studies it intently, her head turned, so that one black eye is trained on my drawing. Wow, you made that? Is this the thing you were telling me about before? Art? So here's Ivan showing Ruby his artwork. Sure is. I can draw all kinds of things. I'm especially good at fruit. Can you draw a banana right now? Ruby asks. Absolutely. I turn the paper over and sketch. Wow, Ruby says, again, in an odd voice when I hold up the page. It's good. It looks good enough to eat. She makes a happy, lilting sound. An elephant laugh. It's like the song of a bird I recall from long ago. A tiny yellow bird with a voice like dancing water. Wow, that's a lot of figurative language there. She makes a happy, lilting sound, an elephant laugh. So he's comparing an elephant laugh. It's like the song of a bird. So he's comparing her laugh to a song of a bird with the word like, so it's a simile. And then a tiny yellow bird, so then he's comparing the yellow bird to dancing water using like. So that's 2 similes in one sentence. Cool. Strange. I'd forgotten all about that bird, how she'd wake me every morning at dawn when I was still curled safely in my mother's nest. It's a good feeling, making Ruby laugh. So I draw another picture and another along the edges of the paper. An orange, a candy bar, a carrot. What are you 2 up to? Stella asks, moaning as she tries to move her sore foot. How are you this morning? I ask. Just feeling my age. Stella says, I'm fine. Ivan is making me pictures, Ruby says, and he told me a joke. I really like Ivan, Aunt Stella. Stella winks at me. Me too, she says. Ivan, want to hear my favorite joke? Ruby asks. I heard it from Maggie. She was one of the giraffes in my old circus. Sure, I say. It goes like this. What do elephants has that nothing else has? Trunks, I think, but I don't answer because I don't want to ruin Ruby's fun. I don't know, Ruby, I reply. What do elephants have that no one else has? Baby elephants, Ruby says. Good one, Ruby, I say, watching Stella stroke Ruby's back with her trunk. Good one, Stella says softly. Children. Once I asked Stella if she ever had any babies. She shook her head. I never had the opportunity. You would have made a great mother, I told her. Thank you, Ivan, Stella said, clearly pleased. I like to think so. Having young ones is a big responsibility. You have to teach them how to take mud baths, of course, and emphasize the importance of fiber in their diet. She looked away, contemplating. I think the hardest part of being a parent, Stella added after a while, would be keeping your babies safe from harm, protecting them. The way silverbacks do in the jungle, I said. Exactly, Stella nodded. You would have been good at protecting too, I said confidently. I'm not so sure, Stella said, gazing at the iron bars surrounding her. I'm not so sure at all. I wonder why she says that. I wonder why she doesn't think she'd be good at protecting. Maybe think about that. Page 99. The parking lot. Mac and George are chatting while George cleans one of my windows. George, Mac says, frowning. There's something wrong with the parking lot. George sighs. I'll look at it Excuse me. I'll take a look as soon as I'm done with this window. What's the problem? There are cars in it. That's what's wrong. Cars, George. Mac breaks into a grin. I think things are actually starting to pick up a bit. It's got to be the billboard. People see that baby elephant and they just have to stop and spend their hard-earned cash. I hope so, George says. We sure could use the business. Mac's right. I have noticed more visitors coming since he and George added the picture of Ruby to the sign. People crowd around Ruby and Stella's domain, oohing and ahhing at the sight of such a tiny elephant. I gaze out at the huge sign that makes humans stop and spend their hard-earned cash. I have to admit that the picture of Ruby is rather cute, even if she doesn't look like a real elephant. I wonder if Mac could add a little red hat and a curly tail to the picture of me. Maybe then more visitors would stop by my domain. I could use a few oohs and ahs myself. Page 101, Ruby's story. Ivan, tell me another joke, Ruby begs after the 2:00 show. I think I may have run out of jokes, I admit. A story, then, Ruby says. Aunt Stella's sleeping and there's nothing to do. I chap my chin. I try hard to think, but when I gaze up at the food court skylight, I'm mesmerized by the elephant-colored clouds galloping past. Do clouds gallop? Would that maybe be personification? Or horse-sonification? Because horses gallop. Cool. Let's keep reading. Ruby taps her foot impatiently. I know, I'll tell you a story, she says. A real live true one. Good idea, I say. What's it about? It's about me. Ruby lowers her voice. It's about me and how I fell into a hole. A big hole. Humans dug it. Bob pricks his ears and joins me by the window. I always enjoy a good digging story, he says. There was a big hole full of water near a village, Ruby says. I don't know why humans made it. Sometimes you just need to dig for the sake of digging. Bob reflects. We were looking for food, Ruby says, my family and I. But I wandered off and got lost and went too close to the village. Ruby looks at me, eyes wide. I was so scared when I fell into that hole. Of course you were, I say. I would have been scared too. Me too, Bob admits. And I like holes. The hole was huge. Ruby pokes her trunk between the bars and makes a circle in the air. And guess what? She doesn't wait for an answer. The water was all the way up to my neck, and I was sure I was going to die. I shuddered. What happened then? I asked. I'll tell you what happened, Bob said darkly. They captured her and put her into a box and shipped her off, and here she is. Just like they did with Stella. He paused to scratch an ear. Humans. Rats have bigger hearts. Roaches have kinder souls. Flies have... No, Bob, Ruby interrupts. You're wrong. These humans helped me. When they saw I was trapped, they grabbed ropes and they made loops around my neck and my tummy. The whole entire village helped, even little kids and grandmas and grandpas, and they all pulled and pulled and... Ruby stops. Her lashes are wet. I know she must be remembering all the terrible feelings from that day. And they saved me, she finishes in a whisper. Bob blinks. They saved you? He repeats. When I was finally out, everyone cheered, Ruby said, and the children fed me fruit. And then all those humans led me back to my family. It took the whole day to find them. No way, Bob says, still doubtful. It's true, Ruby says, every word. Of course it's true, I say. I've heard rescue stories like that before. It's Stella's voice. She sounds weary. Slowly, she makes her way over to Ruby. Humans can surprise you sometimes. An unpredictable species, Homo sapiens. Bob still looked unconvinced. But Ruby's here now, he points out. If humans are so swell, who did that to her? I sent Bob a grumpy look. Sometimes he doesn't know when to keep quiet. Ruby swallows, and I'm afraid she's going to cry. But when she speaks, her voice is strong. Bad humans killed my family, and bad humans sent me here. But that day in the hole, it was humans who saved me. Ruby leans her head on Stella's shoulder. Those humans were good. It doesn't make any sense, Bob says. I just don't understand them. I never will. You're not alone, I say, and I turn my gaze back to the racing gray clouds. Okay. Page 106, a bit. Stella's foot hurts too much for her to do any hard tricks for the 2:00 show. Instead, Mac pulls her limping into the ring where she tracks a circle in the sawdust. Ruby clings to her like a shadow. Ruby's eyes go wide when Snickers jumps on Stella's back, then leaps onto her head. At the 4:00 show, Stella can only get as far as the entrance to the ring. Ruby refuses to leave her side. At the 7:00 show, Stella stays in her domain. When Matt comes for Ruby, Stella whispers something in her ear. Ruby looks at her pleadingly, but after a moment, she follows Mac into the ring. Ruby stands alone. The bright lights make her blink. She flaps her ears. She makes her tiny trumpet sound. The humans stop eating their popcorn. They coo. They clap. Ruby is a hit. I don't know whether to be happy or sad. Scholars, does Ruby look happy or sad? Yeah, poor Ruby. Okay, so for your homework tonight, you need to read page 108 through page 113. And then you need to go through and do the 2 pages, 1, 2, in our packet. Okay. All right. Let's go to page, the second page in our packet, homework packet pages here. And let's talk about number 5, which says analysis. It says, here's a quote from chapter 46, The Hit. A hit, Ivan says. Ruby is a hit. I don't know whether to be happy or sad. This means Ivan is having mixed emotions. Why would he be happy about Ruby being a hit? Why would he be sad about Ruby being a hit? Let's think about that. I'm going to start mine with part of the question. So, he would be happy about Ruby being a hit because ... He would be sad about Ruby being a hit because... All right, so I want you guys to think and answer those on your own. Why would he be happy that Ruby's a hit? Why would he be sad if Ruby is a hit? All right. So I'll let you guys think about that. So again, your homework is to finish reading through page 113. You're going to complete our packet pages for chapters 42 through 48, or pages 90 through 113. And then you're going to upload both pictures of both pages onto our Google Classroom. All right, friends, I really hope that you're enjoying this book. It's one of my favorites. Have a great day and happy reading.